Imagine you're at a football game. Thousands of fans are packed into a tight space and emotions can run high. It doesn't necessarily take much for chaos to break out. Football matches are a lot of fun, but unfortunately, sometimes fights and violence break out. These are not the only problems. At global tournaments, the sheer scale of the crowd is a security challenge. So, authorities are turning to new tech tools: facial recognition, drones, even robot dogs. Can tech help to keep things under control? When you go to a football stadium today, chances are high you're being watched, as cameras monitor the crowd. But what's the goal? To help spot crimes early, like vandalism or riots. When something does happen, the question is, who did it? In Germany, politicians called for AI-powered facial recognition software, or the use of biometric scanners at football games. But after massive criticism due to privacy concerns, the idea was ultimately dismissed. In some countries, however, similar systems have been used for years. No ticket needed. In Sao Paulo's stadium, the fan's face is the ticket. In Brazil, facial authentication is mandatory at stadiums with a capacity of more than 20,000 people. Many fans welcome the change.
I believe technology is here to help and improve everyone's safety.
Facial authentication not only speeds up the lines, because there used to be long queues, but it also makes things easier, since you don't have to carry documents and extra paperwork. As a mother, that makes a big difference for me.
Before buying tickets, everyone must register their face in the system. Each club has its own platform. The process only needs to be completed once and can be done on a smartphone. The information is stored in a database and is only deleted if the fan requests it. Once registered, the ticket purchase can be completed. Brazil introduced facial authentication with ticket sales in 2023. For clubs, it promised a simple fix for fake tickets. Now, access is personal. Your face is your entry. According to the developers, the information is also being used to arrest wanted criminals who enter stadiums.
Today, football clubs work with state public security authorities, and every fan who buys a ticket must provide their CPF, Brazil's taxpayer identification number. With that information, the Ministry of Justice can check whether that fan, for example, has an outstanding arrest warrant.
The company behind the technology says it complies with the law.
Fans' data is not shared or sold for any purpose whatsoever. Fans grant us permission to use their facial biometrics only for the purpose established by law, which is stadium access.
But for experts who study the issue closely, the growing use of facial authentication raises concerns. Personal data linked to people's faces is stored on servers. But how secure are those systems?
It is very dangerous, and the safeguards we have in place are not as strict as many of us would like. Your biometric data can be used to steal your identity and to commit fraud. If I'm required to provide my biometric data in order to enter the stadium, I have two options. Either I do not attend the match and keep my data private, or I provide it and accept the risk that my data could be stolen, because the security measures were not as strong as I or society would expect.
Despite the concerns, the technology is still pretty popular. It is now also being used in Argentina, Colombia, Chile, Mexico, and the United States. And it has already proven its use. In the first 2 years alone, more than 200 people with arrest warrants were caught at football matches in the state of Sao Paulo. Still, critics are concerned about mass surveillance and flaws in the technology. Errors in the system's identification process could result in innocent people being arrested. The debate around security also shapes the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Safety measures are being ramped up significantly. With millions of fans attending, countries like Mexico are sending out a lot of police to help keep the matches secure, supported by some helpers. This dog has competition during the Football World Cup by robots. They won't replace the real ones completely, but they do have an advantage. Police officers can literally see through their eyes.
These units are deployed in advance in parking lots or in crowded areas to gather information that generates intelligence and helps us make decisions.
The new Mexican robot dog division consists of 4 units. They are equipped with cameras and can recognize faces and read license plates. During the World Cup, these robots are meant to enter potentially dangerous situations first, to reduce the risk for the police officers that follow. They can also access places that are difficult for humans to reach. However, operating a robot dog still involves human support.
It can also be controlled from the control center through a remote data connection, but ideally it is always supported by a drone system and a remote operator. They have a long-range coverage of up to 200 meters.
The technology was already in use before the World Cup, when the city Monterrey hosted playoff matches. The robotic dogs are here to stay. In the future, they are expected to be deployed in public spaces, parking lots, and at big events across the municipality of Guadalupe. There's a new security threat at large football events, and it's drones. That's because they can simply fly over security checks and enter restricted zones at high speed. Criminals could use them for surveillance or even attacks. Counter-drone measures are supposed to stop that from happening at the World Cup. But drones will not disappear completely from the tournament, as the police relies on them as well. When football fans walk around Mexico City Azteca Stadium during the World Cup and don't see police officers, it doesn't mean they aren't being watched. They may simply be monitored from above. Unidad Águila is the name of a special unit within the police responsible for drone operations. It was established in Mexico City in 2022. We spoke to an officer about where the drones have been used so far. He asked to remain anonymous.
Day by day, we deal with a variety of events related to protests, large gatherings, sporting events, and other events that involve large crowds, which means we must be vigilant in this area.
The drones are operated by trained human pilots. They carry lights and high-tech cameras, some with night vision. It is also possible to attach speakers with which the police can make announcements to fans. During the World Cup, they focus on key locations like the Azteca Stadium and official fan zones. Live footage is transmitted to command centers where officers can monitor the situation in real time. They can use the insights to improve crowd control.
The very purpose of implementing this technology through drones is to mitigate whatever issues may arise during a gathering.
According to the police, the system has already proven effective. And Mexico is not alone. Drones are increasingly used for policing worldwide. But experts point out that this type of surveillance could be a threat to privacy and the freedom of assembly. They call for clear safeguards and transparency around how data is used. In Mexico City, footage is stored by the unit and can be shared with prosecutors. In the future, the police want to use AI for facial recognition as well. Critics worry that the use of such tools will normalize mass surveillance beyond the World Cup. Some also say security measures are now being used as an excuse for other agendas, like fighting illegal immigration in the United States. The US has also been in the spotlight for taking a tough line on who can enter the country in general. If you're from a country in the so-called visa waiver program, highlighted on this map, you don't need a visa to travel to the US as a tourist. But everyone else does. And that even includes football fans who want to attend the World Cup. When applying to enter the US, tourists who need a visa must share all social media accounts they've used in the last 5 years, even deleted ones. Plus every email, phone number and full employment history. If your LinkedIn doesn't match or an old post raises concerns, you could be flagged.
Traditionally, there have been concerns around terrorism, but we have seen the Trump administration expand the categories of speech that are of concern, including just sort of general, anti-American speech, whatever that means. Anti-American values.
So, how does digital vetting actually work? The data is fed into a network of automated screening systems run by the US government. These systems pull together information from visa applications, travel records, law enforcement databases, as well as online sources like social media. The tools use AI-assisted features like translation, keyword detection, or image recognition to analyze the content. The AI looks for risk patterns, like inconsistencies in someone's identity, signs of anti-US sentiment, or plans to overstay your visa. If something looks suspicious, the system alerts consular officers, who might follow up with questioning or deny the visa. Sophia Cope, who works for the Electronic Frontier Foundation, doubts that the process helps make massive events like the FIFA World Cup safer.
Even if you have someone with nefarious intentions, I think that it is unlikely that they're going to explicitly broadcast those intentions on public social media and then try to walk right through the border,
The vetting systems are also not fail-proof.
There isn't a lot of evidence that social media vetting in particular is helpful. And in fact, it can lead to false positives.
In other words, information can be misread when context is missing. These systems still struggle with irony, slang, and humor. Cultural nuances often get lost too, meaning a harmless post can be misunderstood when it's translated word for word. So, let's recap. What have we learned? Facial recognition and other surveillance tools aren't perfect because they can misidentify people. Security technology comes with its own risks. At the same time, at big events where it gets dangerous quickly, tech tools can help. Robots can help access areas that are hard for humans to reach. AI tools can help monitor large crowds. And more data can help make decisions faster. At the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, surveillance through cameras was already widespread. And in 2026, that trend is continuing and could become the new normal. And that's not just at international tournaments, but also in domestic leagues. Authorities are experimenting with new ways to monitor fans. I personally think new tools can be useful, but at the same time, we do need to balance security and privacy. In any case, fans need transparency about how their data is collected, stored, and used. Well, that's it from me today. See you next time.